Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're an Oceanic viewer, the OS hype train is back on the rails once again, thanks to Sin Gaming, who picked up a victory.
Off the rails? Come on, mate. We had that one in the bag.
I was just saying before, Sin are the Oceanic boys right now. Dials have played all their games in this stage yesterday, right? They went 1-1. Legacy lost yesterday already. They can pick up a win today, maximum 1-1. Sin, for Oceania, we're looking for them to pull out the 2-0 and pull us over the line. For the boys, for the Oath boys.
And welcoming to the desk is going to be Bryce Eugene Paul. Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic after that win. I think we're in a really good spot right now, and I'm excited to see today's games.
And what just a really fun brand of League of Legends. When I just want to go back to it. When I saw this pot of Rift Rivals, and I was like, oh, Southeast Asia, LGL. These are all three teams that are not afraid to have a biff, let me tell you. And finally, Sid Gaming walk onto Summoner's Rift. All hell breaks loose. And what an entertaining brand of the league.
And I mean, like, you talk about Oceanic teams that want a biff, like Sin is definitely one of them. I think, yeah, they're just like big fans of the Chaos style, and that's what we saw that game, and then they pull out the victory.
I mean, touching on that last game before we go into the next match, even Mineski seemed like they wanted to just fight at every single corner, putting up a really entertaining game.
I mean, trust me, mate, whenever we see Oceania players against the GPL, if one team throws a gauntlet, very rarely does the other team back down.
Never back down.
You have to match tempo with tempo, and we just keep going back to it, but you open up a Summoner's Rift against Corki, Talia, Kled, Fiora, there's just going to be action everywhere, and that's what it was, non-stop fighting.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you talk about action everywhere. Blitzcrank, pretty exciting pick. I'm really happy that he's in the meta. You saw it, pretty reasonably common counter pick into the Zarya this game, and I think Sin's bot lane, Rogue and FBI, did a fairly good job. Like, I feel like Sin kind of lost the early game, and then Mineski handed it straight back to them. They got the gank off in the top lane. They got hooked into the Tara bot lane, but then they really turned it around.
I mean, and this is why the mages were so important. I mean, whenever we used to see the mage supports, it was because they just dominate when they get a little, like, when it goes to pure 5v5 and they have items. I mean, Zyra, MF, even the Karma through the big shields was just able to swing the tempo of those games. And Blitz in teamfight is looking for the denial of vision, that one hook to kick it off and be able to secure objectives. But that was just 5v5 style, and Zyra's the queen of that.
Yeah, Zyra, like, just does so much damage, more than any support in the game, really. And you talk about vision, Blitzcrank is a champion that thrives when the enemy has no vision, right? So in a really messy game where teams are walking out of the base, they're fighting, then they're resetting, walking out of the base, fighting and resetting, right? Like, you don't have these deploys where teams are setting up vision, like trading on one side of the map, that sort of thing, and then teams are setting up like Barons and looking for picks with the Blitzcrank, right? So he didn't really, like, couldn't get too many things off there, and Zyra, as you said, just the queen of skirmishing in terms of supports, and yeah, did so much damage.
And it was a really messy game. We had over a kill a minute. We had Rogue running it down mid lane with EXO following short after as well. But there was one player who was really calm and collected, and that was Ryoma. He looked solid throughout the entire game.
I mean, Ryoma, like, hats off to him. When I watched him, like, first break onto Summoner's Rift, I was like, he's a franchise player. I mean, I've said that about two players, Raze on the Chiefs and now Ryoma. Both first-year players. They have really good heads on their shoulders. He's been through Legacy Genesis, Chiefs, and now he's landed on Sin as a starter, and I think he's just impressed the absolute heck out of me.
Yeah, I think so too. Definitely had a great performance, and I think some of the things that are kind of like a niche in that game that didn't get highlighted too much were his individual plays when he like flashed forward under the turret to burn the Corki's flash and heal that led into like the next team fight. Like, those little individual plays for him came up huge in like the next team fight when Corki didn't have the summoners to flash away, when people didn't have the tools to escape, sort of thing. So like his individual play really shined there and pulled the boys over the line.
And his walls were on point. I mean, when you're playing someone like Talia that doesn't have a damage ultimate, you have to be able to make use of the utility in her kit.
Definitely.
And the ability to be able to cut off chokes as people were roaming through junglers. I mean, be able to get multiple picks on the top side of the map. Be able to pressure the 1-3-1 by, you know, dragging Corki away and even helping out Fiora when Fiora was really far behind. Just the 1%ers that he pulled off around the map really sold me on, like, he's an intelligent player and a good player. It's not like he's just pressing keys really well.
Yeah, and I agree. And you mentioned the 1-3-1. I think that's something that Sin did fairly well that game. Both teams had the capacity. Corki in a side lane isn't that bad, sort of thing, and then matched with the Talia. But obviously Sin pulled it off better. I think they got the pushing lanes most of the time. When they were winning the fights, they were getting objectives. And then you had a few like risky calls, I guess, where like they used all their tempo after they won the team fight in the mid and then take an Infernal Drake and lose a Baron sort of thing. So there's definitely things for them to take away from the game. But I think their 1-3-1 certainly has improved for a team like that we consider pretty chaos-style-y. And I think it was good signs.
Yeah, and I think that the big thing you have to take away from that is the first time that every member of Sin has been international, and they're carrying 3 rookies, actually. I mean, I don't know why I keep calling, like, Dockler. He's an import, sure, but he's never played professional League of Legends before.
Yeah.
So the ability for, you know, Dockler, FBI, and Ryoma to step up on an international tournament, shake off the nerves, was really impressive.
And I think, like, you mentioned Dockler, but as you say, like, this is like his first kind of team environment, let alone first team who then immediately goes to an international tournament. I think that's such a big step. A lot of players play in the domestic region, and then when they find success, they go internationally, and it's kind of like it's like you're going up the ladder, right? Where he's skipped the step in the middle. He's only played 3 weeks of the OPL, and then he's already going into the international scene and had a decent performance.
And the biggest thing for me is, I mean, when you die early, there's the ability to think, you know, I wasn't Flares. I'm not the person that bought the team here. I mean, you can shut down, you can stop communicating, but they actually love him on the team. He's a really good communicator. And I think the fact that, you know, he traded kills a couple of times, worked himself back in that game. Even on Fiora, who's not a great team fighter, was still going for risky flanks, still wanted to be a part of it.
Got gifted a few things with the Blitzcrank facing out of the bush. But
He certainly did. But, I mean, that's what you want to see out of a young player. I mean, the ability to keep pace with a very quick game. And as I said, like, there is a chance that you know, someone with a worse mentality, maybe someone that's not backed by such confident shot callers in Rogue and Juves, you know, they collapse under that pressure.
Well, speaking of those confident shot callers,
do the Chiefs.
Sorry?
They do the Chiefs.
Speaking of those confident shot callers right now, both Juves is currently standing by with Hingers live from Vietnam to talk a little bit about that last match.
G'day guys, I'm here with Juves, fresh off that victory, and I mean, tell me about that game, because you guys look pretty sloppy in the early game, right? But you're able to take the win.
I mean, if you watched our gauntlet from last year, we were sloppy all the time. It's just, if you bring sloppy to us, we're just sloppier, and we'll beat you at the sloppy game. So I guess Mineski's like, you know what, we'll play early aggression against these guys, and we were like, come on bro, we were brought up in the aggression. So yeah, we did well.
But how does it feel to get, like, not only you guys at your first international tournament, but also picking up first win?
Yeah, I would say we expected to beat Mineski, so it was, when we had that early game, we were like, ooh, what's going on here? But it's like a different game on stage compared to OPL. Like, you're so nervous because you feel like you're literally carrying the weight of like the OPL on your shoulders as well. Especially because like if we win this game, there's a chance for us to finish first still. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure we'll play better against Japan, and that was just a good like warm-up game.
Oh, well, yesterday, you know, after Direwolves went 1-1, I was talking to Shern, and I was like, hey man, how does it feel to know that, you know, the hopes of Oast lay on Sin? And he was like, they'll try their best. So do you have any words for Shern now?
Shern, look at me, man. I make these videos for a reason on Twitter. When I say I'm going to win, I'm going to win. Okay? Mark my words. We're going to win. We're going to take Oast to the dreamland.
Well, do you have any words for the Oast fans? Because I'm sure people watching at home are like very excited and stuff, and just excited to see you guys going international.
Honestly, I would just say like, whatever happens with Legacy, with Direwolves, with us, it's a different game, and like it's a good learning experience for everyone. I'm confident we can finish first, but I reckon just support Legacy and support Direwolves, and just like, because it means a lot. Like having support from your home region and like getting those messages and everyone getting hypey. It's literally like a 6-man when you're playing. Yeah. So like I really appreciate it, and just keep it going.
Excellent stuff. All right, well, congratulations again on the win, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
There you go, guys. Juves calling out all the Oceanic players to please raise your koalas. And speaking of which, have you been raising your koalas for the Sin lineup? Or are you like Jake Spawn Tabiri, who didn't have any faith in them whatsoever?
It's not true. I'm a bit of a bandwagoner. So now that they've won, I'm all on the Sin train. I don't know. I guess Mineski had a bit of a rough performance yesterday. They got completely rolled by the Japanese third seed team in Unsold Stuff Gaming. So like, Sin should have gone on that with confidence, as Juves just suggested. They were going in confident. And now that they've pulled out the win, I'm all aboard the Sin hype train.
And the other thing that people do is they mistake the fact that you have to call a game as you see it, and you have to take track records going in. Sin right now are currently, you know, sitting 5th in the OPL. There isn't high hopes on them. That doesn't mean I don't want the squad to win. I mean, how can you not want Juves to win a game of League of Legends? The man is just charged all the time.
After an interview like that, like, it's hard to not love Juves, right? Like, I mean, fighting the sloppy with the sloppy, I think, like, he just takes everything like on his shoulders. Like, man wears himself on his sleeve,
and I mean, you have to say, like, he's one of the best sports as well. I mean, he's willing to give a little bit of it, but when people throw it back at him, he's certainly willing to take it. He takes it on the rift, he takes it off the rift, and he does what every captain should, and that's when his team underperforms. He generally is a person that cops all of the hate on the chin and, you know, absorbs it himself, protect his team from it. So I actually, as far as personalities go, I have so much respect for Juves.
Yeah, he did fantastic in that match. Sim were able to pick up a win, but let's move on to the second game that we have
today.
Do we have
to? Come on.
it's going to be
That one a
Rampage.
little bit more.
Rampage taking on the Gigabyte Marines. LJL's first seed representative taking on the GPL's first seed representative. And this is going to be a big test for the LGL region because Rampage have looked good so far. Didn't do too well at MSI, and they're going up against the team that survived play-ins.
And don't let that graphic fool you because they haven't won a game yet. They lost against Direwolves yesterday. And when we have a look at the Gigabyte Marines, this is, as I said, they are the cream that has risen to the top of the play-in regions. They look so terrific. CIS were able to do it beforehand with M13. And this time around, Gigabyte Marines just look like they've taken that crown.
Yeah, I think they were definitely looking like favourites coming into this tournament sort of thing. They do have a switched-up roster a little bit from their MSI roster. But, yeah, definitely a very strong team coming into the tournament. And, as you said, Rampage looked a bit shaky in their game yesterday. Chippy's Jax, I guess, I'm now just talking about OS players again, but he seemingly has an infinitely deep champion pool of carries to counter that. And Rampage looked like they wanted to ban all those carries away from him and then picked up the Camille, had the Jax ready, and then took over the game. So,
I mean, I think the big thing that when you talk about Rampage is that they played well and then made a mistake.
Yeah.
And then Direwolves capitalized on it. And similarly enough, in the Direwolves game versus Gigabyte Marines as well, Direwolves played well, made one mistake, and Gigabyte Marines ran away with it. I feel like, however, that when Gigabyte Marines start running away with a game, they do not let you back in.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the difference between these three first seeds at the moment, is that the Marines punish you so hard that you just never get back into the game, whereas the other two, they leave the door open.
Yeah, and honestly, yesterday with the Gigabyte Marines game, I think I was actually very impressed with their support. Their lineup, they have like the Archie sort of like going back to top lane, and now they've got, I think it's Sia, playing the Thresh yesterday, and they just picked like the Callista Thresh like in the second blue side rotation into the Caitlyn and just like absolutely monstered the lane. He was popping off. He was laning hook like level 2 into the Tahm Kench. Thresh Callista. Callista loses to Caitlyn, right? And then Tahm Kench answers everything that Thresh can do. So, like, if you hook them, Tahm Kench eats it. They should not win that matchup. But they hit level 2. They went in. They were absolutely popping off. I was really impressed with his play and hoping he can show some of that more in this game.
And really curious to see if they're going to go to the exact same roster they played at day 1, if they change it up for day 2. For now, let's take a look at their opponents, the LJL's first seed, Rampage. They're currently sitting number 2 on the LGL ladder, just behind Detonation Fergus Me, but they were the MSI representatives. They were first seed in the spring split. That's going to be Evie in the top lane, Tussle heading into the jungle with Ramune as their mid laner, Yutori as their AD carry, and Dara as their support.
And, you know, we keep talking about the fact that Yutori and Dara, they should be the carries. I mean, Tussle's an aggressive jungler. On paper, they actually match up quite well against the Gigabyte Marines. It's just that they don't seem to, like, if these guys are, like, A-class players, then Gigabyte Marines have a couple of S-class players. And that's what it needs to come down to, is can they actually get the parts of the map ahead that they need to against such good opponents?
Yeah, and when I look at Rampage, I've played against them a few times at Wildcards now, and the two players I have a lot of respect for are actually the Koreans on this lineup, Tussle and Dara. I think Dara is actually a very formidable support player. I was just praising Sia and his Thresh, and Dara can play a mean Thresh in his own right. Alistar, I think, is coming back into the meta, and a couple of Wildcards ago, like, he was actually just raffle stomping people on Alistar. I think the meta, like, kind of suits him, coming back into, like, this tanky support, less of the mages. Like, we saw Zyra last game, but it's kind of falling off sort of thing. We're seeing more of the Braum, Tahm, Thresh. I think it suits him.
And I think that this is what worries me, right? Because we're like, Rampage, support, jungle. That's where they're going to win the game. Unfortunately, going up against Gigabyte Marines, that's probably not where you want to be throwing your power, because they have a very good lineup as well, Fish.
And speaking of their lineup, let's bring that one up on your screens. It should be Nevin in the top lane with Levi heading into the jungle, Optimus, their mid laner, No Way as their AD carry, and Archie as their support. But Archie has been historically a top laner. We did see Sia, their substitute players they support yesterday. So curious to see what their coach Tinnican decides to throw at Rampage today.
And I mean, Levi, Optimus, Archie, historically that backbone that has been able to get everyone else on this team ahead. And when they are playing as a cohesive unit, and jungle mid synergy, jungle support synergy, in my opinion, is the correct way to play League of Legends. And this team does that perfectly.
Yeah, and I mean, like you say, jungle mid, jungle support, right? Like, jungle is the fulcrum between those two, and Levi is just an absolutely monster of a player. Like, he is loved kind of like all over the world, sort of. Like, he makes front page Reddit montage plays at MSI sort of thing, and he's from like a wildcard region, you know? Like, that's almost unheard of. Like, his performance at MSI sort of was really, really stellar, and yeah, we're definitely looking towards him to have a big part in the Gigabyte Marines for this game.
I'm telling you, it's something about the Vietnamese junglers. I mean, there's another guy, SOFM, that looks very similar to him, and they're just very good.
The thing is, both of those junglers are brought up by the same coach, which is the coach for Gigabyte Marines, Tinnican, and he's shown time and time again he can bring up these young players to mix with the veteran squad.
Is he a jungler, the coach? Because I mean, like, that'll make a lot of sense, right?
It does make sense. I mean, they've both got pretty creative pathing and gank routes, but I mean, I give a lot of credit to coaches, but coaches don't teach players how to press buttons. And at the end of the day, SOFM and Levi just press buttons better than any other wildcard jugglers I've ever seen. I mean, they are just mechanically, for junglers, so sound. I mean, it's crisp, crisp.
I mean, it's something when every single Vietnamese player can play Lee Sin to S-tier perfection and probably has Mastery 7 every single account. But still, Gigabyte Marines, they are the favorites coming to this tournament. Do we expect Rampage to give them a challenge, or is this another team that are just going to try and walk over?
There you go, mate. There's a question for you.
I think, honestly, looking into this game, I think based on Rampage's performance yesterday, I think Gigabyte Marines have the upper hand, definitely going into this match. I don't know about you.
I mean, I think it depends how good you rate Direwolves, right? If you rate the first half of the Direwolves game versus the Gigabyte Marines, then you would say Rampage have a shot because Direwolves went with them. If you say, however, the Gigabyte Marines were just biding their time, scaling up, getting to where they want to be, and then they close the trap, then you would say the Marines should be able to run away with this. So I think that the interesting thing about this is you have to compare region to region and kind of do the jigsaw puzzle because they're not playing each other twice. So I think currently Direwolves are actually a good international team. I think they've been underperforming for what their ceiling is. And I think if that's the case, then Rampage don't have they're not favourites going into this match, but they will have a shot at winning it.
Yeah, I definitely, I agree with you in the sense that I don't think this game is going to be a stomp either way. I definitely think it's going to be a very competitive game. Both these teams, as you said, looking reasonable coming into it. I don't know. It'd be hard to pick sides, but if I was to pick one, I'd say Gigabyte Marines.
And something you really touched on, Jake, was the fact that when Rampage were playing, they were the ones that were making mistakes against Direwolves, which gave them the upper hands. It was the same thing for Direwolves against Gigabyte Marines, though. 20 minutes in, they made 2 big mistakes. Game was over, and it seems like Gigabyte Marines can capitalize on those mistakes so well. Yeah,
they certainly can, but that also means that you're allowing a team to play proactive into you, right? And there's always a risk that they just don't make the mistake. And this is something that, Chaos-style League of Legends, whatever you want to call it, fast tempo.
Actually, very we've said Chaos-style a lot, but the term Chaos-style is just like very generous in that it's just like...
a clown fiesta.
Yeah. It's the nicest way to say it.
It certainly is, but like when you play fast tempo League of Legends and you're allowing teams to make mistakes, that generally means that you're allowing play to come to you.
You're being reactive,
and I think that's fair about what happens in the Marines' first game versus Direwolves. They were fighting on the back foot. I mean, Direwolves could have sieged that mid lane turret. They took a fight in the jungle. They lose the game off the back end of it because they lose Baron. Unlucky. But there is a world where Direwolves make the right play there. You lose all tempo off the map. They get the hard reset, and Kate absolutely explodes.
Yeah, and I mean, like, as a general thing, right? Like, you talk about reactive versus proactive play. It's much easier to snowball a game when you're winning. If you have the advantage, it's easier to set up and get more of an advantage. And that's basically what we're talking about here. Reactive style gives your opponent the advantage, gives them everything. Like, they have all the options and they get to choose, and you just have to react to it. So it's very risky style, as you say. Like, if they don't make the mistake, then... I mean, like, you're just kind of like out of luck at the end of the day.
It's so funny because at MSI, when we were talking about the Marines, I would never have called them a reactive team. I mean, I have to see whether that was the anomaly when they were playing against the Direwolves because they let the gameplay come to them. They let the Corki, they let the Caitlyn actually get the setup that those two champions need. I actually expect Levi to pick an aggressive jungler and just go nuts this game and really throw the gauntlet against Tussle. He would have met him in Korean solo queue a lot of the time, I assume. And it's going to be interesting.
And speaking of that again, every single Seed 1 team has something in common in which they have a jungler that's very hyped up in their team. Schernfire was very hyped up coming into the OPL. Levi has been since MSI and way before that as well at IWCA tournaments. Tussle as well has been huge for Rampage, and he has shown how prowess he is in the jungle time and time again.
Yeah, and speaking of Caitlyn, you mentioned it a bit before. As we get into champ selection, we're seeing the OPs like Zac and Galio being banned away. Jake, you were saying earlier about how the Thresh, Elise, and Caitlyn are kind of in the mix with the OP champions. And I think one really interesting thing with this matchup is both these teams in the previous games have given their opponents Caitlyn, even though considering Caitlyn wins all of the AD carry matchups right now. Gigabyte Marines immediately picked the Kalista Thresh into it, whereas Rampage, they did take away the Thresh into a Braum, but they also matched it with the Kog'Maw. So it's interesting that Caitlyn has already gotten through the ban phase. Neither of these teams have banned it away, and Rampage obviously go for the Rek'Sai first pick.
And you have to think that that's because of the accelerating gameplay that both of these teams go for. Caitlyn, if she doesn't get the push in the lane, which she should get in every single lane at the moment, which is why she's strong, but if she doesn't for whatever reason, still has the same trough.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's smaller, it's less pronounced and defined, but it is definitely still there.
And you remember, there's 3 champions that every single Vietnamese team loves to play. Gragas, Lee Sin, Kalista. One of those has been banned away. One of those has been picked up by GAM. They haven't gone for Lee Sin just yet. And an interesting note as well is the fact that Archie is playing in the top lane again, and Sia will be their support of choice. Second pick for Gigabyte Marines will be Talia.
Yeah, I think locking in the Kalista first pick, Caitlyn is still up, as we were just talking about. And yeah, Talia just locked in immediately. That seems very interesting. The only mid lane ban we see right now is the Syndra. Interesting to see if Rampage will immediately answer with a mid matchup right now. I assume they will, after they're obviously looking for the AD carry pick in the Varus here.
I mean, this is interesting because we spoke about Caitlyn, and Varus is kind of in the similar vein. Both of these AD carries play pick comp fine. I mean, Varus has the ultimate, Kalista has the ultimate as well, and both of them actually front-to-back team fight relatively well. They're both going to be building Bork, they both shred tanks. I mean, they both put out extreme damage in the late game the longer the fight goes. And this should be an interesting matchup now.
Yeah, and the Rampage, as we said, have immediately answered with the Cassiopeia pick. Good matchup into the Talia in the 1v1. Optimus obviously has a lot of confidence in his Talia play, just to lock it in blind sort of thing. We don't see too many mid laners picked pre-second phase of bans.
And if they lock in Rom here for Gigabyte Marines, does that give Rampage an opportunity to try and target out the jungle pool for Levi? Because he is arguably one of the strongest players in the Gigabyte Marines roster.
No one's arguing with you. You say this a lot, Fish. He is the strongest player on their roster.
I don't know. After watching Sia yesterday, I've got second opinions about that now.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I mean, off the back of one game, I think he's a promising young lad.
Yeah. I'm expecting the Lee Sin ban coming from Rampage here, and yeah, I guess like GAM have just banned away the Tahm Kench. That's a decent matchup into the Braum. I think Rampage are probably going to be forced onto a ranged mage sort of support. Thresh already taken off. Tahm Kench taken away, and Gigabyte Marines have obviously locked in the Braum, so they should have the push in the bottom lane.
Alistar.
Alistar? No, that's true, actually. Dara, very promising Alistar player. That'd
be pretty scary.
I would enjoy that.
Big
there we see the
Mukau
Lee
hitting
Sin
the
band. Hopefully he busts out the Mukau at Lee Sin. Sitting with the dong in the bot lane.
Big fan of Chromas on this analyst desk. Big
Love
fan.
Chromas.
And we're also just getting confirmation that this is going to be the main roster for Gigabyte Marines throughout the rest of this tournament. So they are sticking with Archie top lane. Sia is their starting support.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
I actually think Archie had a really good game into Chippies. I mean, being able to play Gragas into Fiora and actually, you know, call down jungle. He obviously has very good communication with Levi because he got Levi into the lane early enough that he could match the split push, and Baron was never really a threat.
He's one of their shot callers, so it makes sense he's able to work with Levi so well.
And in terms of like a six-man roster, it's something that you don't see kind of ever. You look at six-man rosters, oftentimes it's the jungler, and you just have two junglers, like SKT sort of thing, like subbing junglers in and out. This is a roster where Archie can play both support and top lane, and they have a six-man roster with flex players, not just champions, like flexing roles. That's really difficult to plan against.
And we saw him play Gragas, which is something he's very comfortable with. Historically, he played it top lane. Now he's going to pick up Kennen. Most likely going to be an AD carry Kennen in the top lane for him, which is more mechanically intense, you could say.
I mean, does Evie really want to take a Camille into Kennen? Oh, that is a rough matchup early.
That's a ballsy move.
And hiding Levi's jungle pick for last, something that Gigabyte Marines would do.
I mean, it means that they just want priority, right? Generally, if you're holding a jungler until last, like, especially when jungler was first pick, it's not because you got something cheesy you don't want to show. It's just the fact that, you know, you have priority picks you want to take elsewhere, and you're just setting up your lanes for success.
Honestly, I would disagree. Very few times do you see a jungler being picked last pick, right? I think I wouldn't be surprised if Levi locks in something out of left field here. The meta jungler or the meta-ish junglers that are up, like Graves, Kha'Zix,
Rengar.
Yeah, Rengar. We saw a bit of that from Carbon yesterday. I mean, Graves is a good matchup into the Rek'Sai. Like, you can match him in terms of jungle clear. Like, you outscale him, outfarm him.
I mean, it's not really cheesy though, right?
No,
so they priority pick mid lane and they priority pick top lane.
Well, I was saying there was potential for cheese, right?
I mean, what's he going to do? Evelyn? Like,
I mean, I don't know.
Sejuani?
Like, he's the jungle prodigy. Like, Sejuani jungle, that'd be a bit interesting.
He's gone back to Graves though, which hasn't seen too much play, but still sticks around the meta from time to time.
We do see Dara opt into a mage though. As you said, Alistar was still up, but they have opted into the Lulu, so Varus Lulu should have the push in this bottom lane. Kalista does get outranged by the Varus, and then the Lulu outranges the Braum, obviously, looking to probably take Thunderlords and then bully the Braum lane around. But as you see more and more often nowadays, people are just blind picking Braum, knowing that with the Doran shield meta in the bot lane, you're not going to get punished too hard pre-level 6, and that's when you really start to shine.
Yeah, but the big thing for me is you either had to pick a tank or you had to pick a support that was going to make your front line tankier, because they don't have a legitimate, like, you know, Maokai, Gragas, like, super beefy tank. And when you have a look at champions like Cassiopeia and like Varus, at some point in the game, you want a team fight.
Yeah.
So the Lulu makes sense. They banned away the best tanks in the game that could be played in that support position, in the Thresh, in the Tahm Kench. Unless you want to take Blitzcrank or Alistar, which, you know, have very difficult matchups at times into Braum. I mean, the Lulu is the next best pick. Next best pick there.
And
Yeah,
something we haven't
absolutely.
seen in quite some time. Still has hovered around as a support. Moved into the mid lane for a short period of time during the meta. But always a very strong pick when paired up with team compositions like this. Excited to see how Rampage are going to use this one because no unorthodox picks again. Rampage were very standard comp, unlike the two other Japanese teams.
Excited to see the Varus build that comes out. Whether we see the Bork again, or I'm really disappointed it wasn't Cogmore, by the way, because I had a great Pugmore joke with Bork in there. We'll hold that one.
Was it just Borkmore? That's
Nah.
okay, because that would be pretty underwhelming.
Yeah, underwhelming.
Oh, please, I hope we don't get any more Cogmore games today while you're on the desk here, Jake. But we are on to Summoner's Rift again for the second match of today. First seed teams from the LGL and the GPL are about to face off.
And I mean, this already is very interesting because we were talking about the ability to punish bottom lane becoming very difficult because we have Dorian shields, but on the side of Rampage, they go for the very aggressive blade start because they've got the range advantage.
Yeah.
And at the same time, a cull picked up on Archie. For a man that was a support main until a couple of weeks ago, bold call.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's pretty standard in a AD cannon into a melee matchup top, right? Like, you're not going to get punished too much. Giving you the sustain in lane.
I agree, but if we see the same jungle path out of Rampage of where Tussle gets up there early, and, I mean, Evie just takes E level 2, he can just flash on his head. And that is a very dangerous gank to try and survive. I would have liked to see a shield.
Yeah, really interesting matchups. Kennen's one of those champions who has been constantly banned throughout the second ban rotation in multiple games, but we haven't seen it played too much. And most of the time we see it played internationally, it doesn't do that
I
well.
don't know. What's your opinion on it? I trust the win rate in the fact that it hasn't performed well, but like, is there a pressure element to the game?
Yeah, I mean, statistics only tell like half the story, right? Like, there's obviously reasons that people keep picking it despite it having not greater win rate. But I think it's honestly kind of like a top lane thing, whereas no top laner wants to play like into a Kennen because he just spends the entire lane phase just whacking away on you sort of thing. So as like a second phase ban, it's very common because he's a very easy counter pick to a lot of the tanks in the top lane. Like, if you pick something like beefy in the top lane for team comp and then you just get matched with a Kennen, he's going to outsplit you, he's going to outdamage you in lane, and it's just very difficult to deal with. And as a player, I think it's just absolutely very annoying. And that's something that, like, as an analyst, like, you don't really think about too much, like how it is to play against something inside the game, like from a viewer's perspective, right? Like, it's very taxing on you to just like be getting pummeled like consistently in the early game, and I feel like that does play a little bit into it.
Yeah, I certainly agree. I also like want to point out the fact that I haven't seen Archie play either Kennen, but Marin in the LCK did go back to AP Kennen on this patch. At 7.12, it hasn't got, you know...
On this patch?
Yeah, so he was playing it on 7.12, 7.13. Pre-7.13, Marin was still playing AP Kennen.
Yep.
And we talk about it a lot, but Exhaust completely counters it because the upfront damage is no longer on the ultimate. It scales up the longer it goes, and that means that supports just have a massive window through the stun to be able to throw the support Exhaust on and really shut down that damage. So not saying he will go towards it. I like the lane bully Kennen, but it is certainly something that at least one player in the world
Something
does.
to consider, but also you said massive window, right? I feel like I completely disagree. That is a minuscule window. When AP Kennen has a Zhonya's in as a proto belt, and he like flash ulti proto belt Zhonya's immediately, like you have this like the tiniest portion
You know what's
of
happened?
a second
He's been
to
nailed by a
exhaust this.
Kennen
Yeah.
ultimate.
No, you have
lately.
the tiniest
there's
portion of a
two
second.
words that the community can throw at your way, which is get good, Bryce.
Oh, okay.
Hit that exhaust button clicker, you know. Don't have
hard.
any old main hands.
I feel sorry for Jish. Washed up support on his team.
Alrighty.
No, but another curious fact is you did say that it's a big window for him. Hang on.
Yeah, just let's talk about that later because item builds aside, Tussle has gone with the extended leash. He's got his red buff nice and quickly. And you can see how aggressively he's pathing. I mean, he was even flirting with the danger of it being able to reset there just off the back end of he wants his top lane gank as quickly as possible.
And he didn't take the big raptor again, which is exactly what we saw yesterday.
Yeah, and I was talking to Jish about this, and he's a big fan of not taking the big raptor. If you make the first gank work, it just gives you the tempo advantage. You can see Levi probably running an experienced Quinn. Or actually, maybe he's just running the SOFM. He's got 74 AD. He's going to march mid lane, and he's going to try and kill Ramune.
Get in on top of this Cassiopeia. Tries to dodge out some of the damage. Takes quite a bit in return. We'll get a pop out of that, but bottom lane, Gigabyte Marines are fighting and Sia taking quite a bit of damage. Dara is charging on forward. Winter's Bite does not connect, and first blood is picked up by the Japanese support.
And honestly, that actually looked so grim for Rampage right there. They obviously got the least 4 tussles so he can gank the top side of the map. And obviously, as a result of that, GAM get the push in the bot lane and get level 2 first, and they bust out the fight. But trading that kill there is...
Top lane, Tussle's already up there. Picks up a kill onto Archie. There is that level 3 game.
Take Dorian shield, Tussle. You're in a dangerous lane. It is a dangerous place for a support player to roam up there, and he gets made pay.
For Rampage right now, right, they've kind of sacked the early game of this bot lane, right, to leash the red so that Tussle can get in the top lane, but they've just got it paying off in both fronts. GAM have died in the bot lane, Braum is already dead, and then they get the kill on the top lane as well. Both side lanes are winning when they should have been trading this.
That has to be poor research coming out from Gigabyte Marines, though, because we saw the exact same path come out of Tussle yesterday to get a very early gank in the top lane.
I mean, what actually happened is I think Evie burnt the flash first, and then Tussle was just able to flash on him. I didn't exactly see it, but he did not have flash when he got flashed on by the Rek'Sai, which means something went wrong before the game.
Just committed.
I'm excited, by the way.
Like
I'm
Camille,
really excited.
Camille just hard commits, knowing that Tussle is pathing up there early. They already saw Levi gank the mid lane, so they knew he was chunked. That he already showed on the map, so they weren't afraid of a counter gank. So Camille can go like hyper aggressive in that situation, knowing that it's going to be a 2v1 and it will pay off.
Well, Levi is now top side of the map to try and help out Archie if he does get jumped on again, or if he decides to go toe-to against Evie.
That's what he's here for. He needs to make sure that wave hits the turret. If Levi doesn't do that and he dies again,
he's screwed.
Archie has got a wave frozen with the other jungle top laner being able to teleport back, and he honestly has nowhere to go. Right now, he still hasn't got a good buy, and at any point, Evie can go back and really start punishing that lane, but it's still not as grim.
I figured out the cull.
Yeah.
You know when you get behind in bot lane and then you're starting with the Doran's blade and you're like, oh no, like the lane's gone horribly wrong, let's get a cull. He's just skipped a step. He's just like, oh no, like I know I'm going to die to this gank, let's just get a cull. Like don't spend the 475 on the Doran's, like there we go.
I'm done.
That's genius.
Another quick tempo game. I mean, we saw already Levi go for a very cheesy mid lane gank to try and burn summoner spells. Read very well by Ramune. Different mid laner would have been playing up on Cassio at level 2. Maybe someone like Swiffer and would have fallen prey to that one.
The only thing he didn't do that was exactly like SOFM, is just flash on him anyway.
He should have flashed on him.
Hit him with a
get all 5 shotgun shots into his face.
Because like the idea behind that is both of the mid laners are so medium range. Is if you're playing without flash, then the lane comes up to like you say, I've done my job. I've burnt his summoner spell. You now can win this lane by yourself, Optimus, and I can focus elsewhere. Whereas right now, I mean, he showed himself on the map and nothing else really happened. Right now, however, big gank coming up here. They should now read this based on the fact that they hit that sweeper.
Yeah, so Levi is looking to try and stick around for this game, but Talia has backed off. Meanwhile, bottom lane, we saw Sia get poked down very low, and Tussle looked for a gank there as well.
Archie's trying to bait him in. He knows that Camille wants to push in the wave, and he's trying to bait him to... He's kind of overextending, knowing that Levi is standing behind him, ready for the gank, trying to bait Camille to look for the chunk to push in the wave, but obviously he doesn't get it there. Levi just backs off. In talking about the mid lane gank, I think Rampage counterpicked the Talia with the Cassio, and Cassio, very obnoxious champion in the 1v1, a lot of kill pressure, so I think obviously with that level 2 kill, in high pressure kill matchups, you kind of, like that early gank onto it, just to burn the summoners, just alleviates the pressure. Obviously Talia, very good roam champion, want to get her to 6 and want to get her moving around the map.
We'll have to take a look and see what happens later on in this match, but remember how big this is for Rampage. If they can pick up a win against Gigabyte Marines, LJL straight away seeded into the grand finals on Thursday. That'd be massive for them, especially taking down one of the best teams from the play-in regions that went to MSI this year.
No, it's true. They can only go 5 and... no, can't they go 4 and 2 still? And O's go 4 and 2 still?
O's cannot go 4 and 2, I believe.
Well, they're 1 and 2 right now.
They can go 4 and 2, so they can tie it up at least, or secure a tiebreaker.
Yeah. They can get a step closer.
Let's see if they're able to do just that. Gigabyte Marines, if they want GPL to have any chance to make it that far. They need to play a tiebreaker game as well, but they have to win every match. Looking for a fight top lane. That's going to be Evie jumping on top of Archie. He's popped his ultimate as well, trying to lock both of them down, but doesn't have the tools to kite back officially. No flash available for the cannon. He gets taken down, and Rampage now have 3 kills.
And all of a sudden, a champion that's supposed to be whacking people in the head, as we described earlier, is now down 2 kills and is very far behind. Has not got flash available for the next couple of seconds. Will have it when he gets back to lane, but with no ultimate, is actually just a sitting duck.
And honestly, as this game progresses, I don't see Kennen getting into a better position, right? Like, Camille with this lead should be snowballing, should be able to have the tools to fight him in the 1v1. And an AD Kennen that relies on auto attacks, can't team fight, wants to win the split. And if he can't win the split, I don't know what else he does.
Bottom side of the map, bot lane just going perfectly even at the moment. Shield against Blade and farming up equally with one another. Dara does have that single kill against Sia.
Yeah, when level 6 is hit, however, it becomes a little bit more risky. I love Sia's pickup of a little bit of health regen, by the way. You know that they're going to be trading in window. That gets so much more value than potion, as long as you don't get 100 to 0.
He came back with potions as well, though.
Big,
so he had
both.
Big flank top lane, though. There's already a flash being burnt there by Archie to try and lock down Evie. Looks for a fight to kick things off. Evie does not have flash available. Levi's flanking off, and there is Optimus waiting in the wings in case he gets too far away. Optimus now at Baron Pit. Does he flick him over the wall? He does, and throws rocks to them. Levi says, no, you're not getting that kill. I'm taking that for myself.
That was actually very close to being okay for Evie there in the top lane. If he didn't get bopped and killed by Talia there, Cassio was floating up, was going to find Talia in the river, and probably would have been able to get him out, because it's not like Talia can just face tank the Cassio as they're walking down the river to contest.
Tussle, meanwhile, looking to try and take blue buff away from Levi. Does have Rumina here to give it over. Tussle try and make their way down to the bottom lane. Sia with the miracle steal.
That's juicy.
I like this support.
Coming into it, we thought he wasn't even on main roster, and now 2 from 2 games. He's been rocking it. I guess he's 0-1. But
Yeah. we have the microphones. We get to build whatever narrative we want right now. He's absolutely torching him.
He's stolen another wildcard player's name, though. Sia from Latam. It's a bit of an overlap.
Well, Evie's looking to try and jump on Archie again. Gets a good stun. Tries to
cancel.
fight him.
Big
Will pop the ultimate to try and keep the fight going. Evie taking so much damage from these minions. He's forced to back off. Still wants to try and turn around, it seems. Archie looking for that next stun. Doesn't get it. Instead, Evie will just eat a couple of fruits and he'll be fine.
I mean, that is interesting, because what he did as soon as he saw the ultimate and his ulti wasn't available, we'll get to the bottom lane in a second, he just backed away, takes some honey fruit, and just picks up the big health bonus. So now he is in a good spot, even though he lost that trade.
Yep.
Meanwhile, as you were pointing out, let's take a look at the replay of what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just farming on the turret. It looks like Tussle's coming in for a gank. They're kind of baiting them in here. They had the Brawn passive on. Sia walking up. I think, does Tussle have flash here? I'm not sure if he comes over the wall.
Yeah, it has flash.
Tussle does have flash.
Yeah,
just
there you go.
Oh, they stacked as well.
Yeah.
Big force coming out from Rampage.
And the Lulu ult double.
So 2 kills and a turret. Big trade going in favor of Rampage. And again, starting to accelerate this lead against Gigabyte Marines.
And I mean, as a bot lane in Gigabyte Marine situation there, it's actually kind of hard to ward that bush. It's really easy for the bot lane range versus melee advantage, Rampage to push in and then keep sweeping up the river. And then Rek'Sai, obviously one of the few junglers that can get his way, or her way, sorry, over that fat wall into the gank behind you. They're losing the lane, but then they're playing back under their turret. They still die to the gank, right? That's real rough.
They want another play topside as well. You can see that the lane swap that kind of made Marines famous at the play-ins back in full force. 10-minute swap after they lose the turret, and you can see Tussle wanted to punish that, but good pink ward spots him out.
Kennen is up 20 CS though.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I feel like that's
It's a
probably
big wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's about 16 away from clearing that coal as well, so that's about to pay off. And still, Rampage are the ones looking to continue pushing these top lane turrets. Gigabyte Marines are a turret down and 2,000 gold behind the first seed from the LJL. They're looking very strong. Rampage looking very composed, only dropping a single kill on the top lane. And that was a 3-man gank that Gigabyte Marines had to throw their way to get that.
Well, thoughts on, ever since the change to the shielding and healing items came in, obviously in the past, if you're a pure utility, let's hold that for a second, Optimus and Tussle having a little bit of a scrap.
Tussle wants it.
Tussle flashed, and Optimus immediately flashed away. Popped Ghost. Tussle's trying to kite back.
All right.
Did Tussle misplay that? Did he unburrow then flash? I think
Looked
he
like
Sure,
it
but
did.
there's a fight top lane.
Oh.
Braum throws down his shield, knocks up Dara. Collateral damage comes out from the side. You can see Levi's trying to fight Yutori one-on-one. Teleport gets cancelled by Evie as well, and GAM pick up a kill.
Yeah, and somehow the Rampage bottom lane just gets split up on the play. And now with their Graves, they're going to be able to shove in this turret. We'll actually get the gold lead back to relatively even. And the Marines just punish mistakes so incredibly well.
That is a big swing. They weren't in a good position there. Now they have the TP advantage as well because Evie obviously teleported to that play behind them, looking for the flank, but they just died too soon in the Rampage bot lane, and then he had to cancel. So kind of that play not only is it good for the bot lane, but it kind of gives Archie an advantage in the side lane as well against the Camille.
Rampage will be able to pick up a single dragon for themselves. Ocean Dragon has been taken down for their troubles, but still now only 6,000 gold behind when they were getting close to 3,000 ahead of Gigabyte Marines.
Yeah, and at the same time, you can see they're trading for Rift Herald. And certainly at this stage of the game, if it's not a Fire Drake that's going to make your Cassiopeia huge in the late game,
That's a lot of
Herald
spears.
is probably a worthwhile trade at this point. See whether they attack the side lane. You can see they were pinging out Archie. Doesn't have ult or flash available. I think that should have been a dive, given the fact that Camille does have the ability to be able to get underneath that turret. Didn't pull the trigger on it though.
So now what do we expect from these two teams? The Gigabyte Marines, they pull back the lead. They have a Rift Herald in hand, so that should be a turret taken down in the next few minutes.
They are looking mid. Camille is hovering, but Talia obviously just floating topside, clearing the ping.
So what I was going to ask you, now that we have a little bit of a lull there, they're pinging out the cannon again, is it better to get gold now on your really utility-based supports, or is it still, you know, you would rather it go somewhere else? In the past, you know, with Zyra, although Archie, probably going to die. We're not going to watch it, though. A little bit too violent for this stream.
Yeah, he's just locked down by 2 members of Rampage. Not great.
Are you asking, is it better to have gold on a shielding support or a damage support, or
No,
on a
as in,
support
like,
as opposed to an AD carry?
As in, like, in the past, you would say that is wasted gold nearly on Lulu. Going to get redemption anyway. After that, doesn't really matter what she picks up. Is the itemization, like, that much better now that the change to Athenes and the change to redemption have come through, or is it still, you know, not really all that great?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that great. You would much rather your Varus be 3-0 than your Lulu be 3-1. Like, if Varus picking up the kills, he's much more efficient with gold. As we haven't mentioned, but we mentioned before the broadcast, he has gone for the Bork build, looking to be shredding probably Braum in the late game. But yeah, I think a support with gold is just like you would just rather it on your AD carry. But I think in this game, I would look for Dara to pick up the Crucible first and then go into the Redemption. There's a lot of CC, albeit only from 2 champions, the Kennen and the Braum. But I think in a mobile AD carry like the Varus, very easy to get on. Someone like Graves can be running at his head as well, I think.
And on top of that, now that Redemption scales so well, the healing you get from Redemption, it makes sense to get that first.
Yeah, and that's where I was going. Yeah, the 20% from Crucible, then tripled by the Redemption, so your heal values just become nuts. But yeah, I think Dara did go for the Thunderbolts this game, though, instead of the Wind Speakers, specifically into the Braum because they wanted to bully him around in the matchup. Probably netted them the level 2 kill.
Yep, for sure. It's just, you know, it's one of those things. Or maybe Tussle got out here. No, he actually just runs away.
See you, mate.
Good move, because actually the Camille was coming up and there's already 2 members in the mid lane. So I respect the ability to run away with the Talia ult. I mean, it's just like, you know, we were watching last game, and when you're trading kills onto a Zyra, you're like, that's actually not that bad. Zyra's going to get Leandri. She's going to eventually get Riley. She might even get a Void Staff, and then she's just going to look to blow everyone up, you know, the cupcake special.
Yeah.
Whereas Lulu, you're like, oh, not great.
It's not wasted, but you would definitely prefer it on a carry.
Meanwhile, Rampage are still keeping Yutori and Dara top side of the map, so they continue to farm there. Evie is split pushing in the bottom lane. We saw him and Tussle pick up a kill on Archie earlier. Tussle, in fact, in some trouble, gets knocked out of his tunnel and stunned up by the Braum passive. Easy kill for No Way.
Does he have flash? I think he definitely does. So he was greedy on the flash there. Didn't go for it. I guess he would have just got flashed over by the wall by the Callista. So he would have died anyway. But is that a worthwhile trade? Callista flash for Rek'Sai. They don't have a lot of frontline on the Rampage lineup, so maybe not. Maybe he intentionally held onto it to deny that. But
that's Rift Herald being used mid by Levi, so they will be able to take this turret down for free. And the entire time Cassiopeia been trying to take down her own blue buff.
Oh, I mean, also wants to match the split as well. Oh, does.
Does get it. That's big. Oh, it's not that big.
Always a joy, Egypt. Always a joy to have you here. You can see that Collapse is coming down right now onto Heavy, so we'll see whether Levi is able to pick this kill up.
Levi is right behind him, dodges away from the low sweep. Sia jumps towards his aid, puts up
Flash
the shield as well.
available.
Tussle flashes forward, only gets Sia, and Heavy jumps in. Storm being thrown down by Archie as well. Locks down 3 members of Rampage, and Archie gets that first kill. He's going to flash away, but Dara with the Thunderlords again gets a return
comes
kill.
Optimus, and Tussle is cut off from the rest of the team.
Optimus looking to try and knock one back, doesn't get it. Yutori flashes away just after Dara. Heal still available for the AD carry.
Cass here.
is looking to try
He's
and collapse
going.
in. Tussle goes in, big
Fine.
knock up, and big Ramune ultimate as well as throwing down the poison. Will only take down Sia. The rest of GAM get out alive.
Good guy Sia just stands in front of the whole team and says, I will hold this door. You guys run away. That could have been so much worse for GAM, but still a one trade on what was a proactive play coming out of GAM. Rampage had the answers.
Yeah, as you saw, Gigabyte Marines, Talia has the shove in on the Casio, gets down there first, but yeah, Tussle splitting for the bot lane seemed like a very weird decision, right? Like the bot lane had to flash Dar and Yutori, sorry. And then Tussle actually had the flank on it when Casio arrived. That looked really good, but because of the Braum shield, they don't get as big a team fight as you expect.
And again, every single game the LGL teams have played, they all feel like one cohesive unit. As soon as someone says we're going, everyone's on the same
Which
page.
is so weird, right? Because we used to cast the LPL fish, and as soon as you add 2 Korean players, what we were saying is that the communication really suffers, especially when it's a jungle and a support. I mean, having carries speaking one primary language, you'd have to think in Japanese, and then having the Koreans coming in.
Do they speak like that?
I don't know. Like that's what
we're assuming so. They've been there for a while, so they should be able to communicate
yeah, I feel like
somewhat with
I
each
feel
other.
like at this stage, this lineup's been together a long time. I feel like they would have worked it out by now. They probably use a mixture of both Japanese, Korean, and maybe a bit of English.
And pings.
And pings, yeah.
I mean,
the
MSI,
LPL special.
Yeah, the LPL lineup that famously won MSI in EDG communicated primarily in pings. They said our first language is ping, our second language is English. So.
But it's, again, as you were mentioning, Spawn, so curious to watch as Gigabyte Marines take down an Infernal Dragon for themselves and a gank is set up for Archie. This poor little cannon. I mean, the poor Yordle just gets jumped on by everyone.
At a certain point, I feel you deserve this for picking cannon.
Archie just does a lot of magic damage at the moment. You can see the shield coming out from Heavy. Almost takes him down. Will actually get one. Is he going for the 2-for-1 special? He does. Rexo comes out of the tunnel. Will kill the Yordle, but it doesn't matter. That's a double kill top lane.
Yeah, it certainly is. And already the push in on bottom lane. So they've traded negatively. They've no pressure in the bottom lane. That's going to be a 2-for-1 trade. They will get mid lane, but across the board, Rampage just, not trading well.
And if they get to answer with the mid turret here, that's pretty big. Oh,
they lost tier 2. Now they're going to lose tier 1. They will get mid lane. They lost Infernal.
Mid lane is important, but yeah.
Yep, so Gigabyte Marines are pulling back the gold lead for themselves. They're now 1,500 ahead of Rampage after a fantastic start from the Japanese squad.
Let's take another look at this outplay because Archie is able to get massive auto attacks in. The stun is slightly outside turret range, but still not able to dodge out any of the damage with the ultimate.
It just seemed like Evie and Tussle were on a different page there. We were just talking about communication, and Tussle had started the golems, and Evie had jumped over the wall with his E and looked for the dive early. Rek'Sai was there and definitely able to dive that immediately with the Camille, and it probably would have worked out better for them, but Tussle wanted the golems, Camille wanted the dive, and then absolute disaster hits when it doesn't work out.
Mune is the one that's been sent to the top lane for Rampage. 1,000 gold lead for Gigabyte Marines.
And both top laners actually farming pretty poorly at this stage of the game. I mean, 153 to 132 at 20 minutes into the game when they're both carry threats. It's not like they've been making big teleport plays around Summoner's Rift. Means that their impact in this game will be lessened because all of a sudden champions like Kalista, like Varus will be able to stand and deliver against them and not feel that same pressure that you normally do against, the 2 levels higher and much more gold than you.
And I feel like in this matchup, the Kennen versus Camille fares better when they both have less gold. She has CC, she has teamfight potential. AD Kennen doesn't have too much teamfight, so more so like a strict split pusher. I think Camille does fare better in this.
And that's where you just sack all your items, go Zhonya's pure CC bot.
Yeah. Build all your AD, decide it's not very good, switch up the build mid-game. lose the game, buy a bunch of tears.
Tussle now flashing on top of the Talia. He's grounded and can't flash away, but is trying to ghost his way out. Levi joins the fight. There's Rek'Sai popping back out. Gets a kill onto Optimus.
Teleport
coming in from Archie, looking for the flank. There's a teleport in return from Evie, and Ramune stands his ground. They're still trying to chase out Rek'Sai. They're throwing out Seer. Will lock him down with his bite. No way picks up that kill.
And you can see how much desperation is coming out of the Rampage. They're like, we must win this trade because we've invested so much. They do grab the bonus turret, so they peg it back. It's still only 400 gold.
And that's with a turret behind. So if Rampage are able to equalize in turrets, they will be ahead in gold.
There's a big if there. Tier 2's only left remaining. But this is, once again, another really bloody game. After what was a relatively, standard gameplay on day one, maybe teams brushing off the nerves. We've had
the true colours are coming out on day 2. First day, a lot of these players, I guess, would have a lot of nerves. A lot of them first international tournaments, especially from like the 3rd seed teams coming into this tournament, wouldn't have played overseas a lot, so the nerves do play a part of it. So yeah, maybe it is a bit of day 2. True colours coming out, and everyone just wants a bit of the fight. But
no, it's just because Sin's playing today. They got the good old fighter going for every single match.
Everyone's jumped on the Sin train.
They saw their jersey, saw the fighter, like, oh, we got to try and do this more.
Everyone's picking up their own T-shirt.
But it's still a very even game between Rampage and Gigabyte Marines, and a lot of people would not have expected it to be this close.
And interesting thing...
What do you mean? We just... Come on, mate.
No, you guys,
there's probably a lot of people that disagree, to be fair.
You both thought it was going to be this close. A lot of other people would not have seen it to go this way, especially after the MSI performances. Eve going to try and lock down Optimus here. Pops the ultimate. He's stuck in this pit. Easy solo kill going to be picked up by Camille. Oh, wow, he might have outplayed him there. Hook shot too short. There's redemption coming in. Optimus gets slayed by Dara. Oh, that was a little bit anticlimactic.
I was about to mention before that fight happened that Lulu went for the Redemption first instead of the Crucible. Obviously still a very good build, but then Braum has also gone for the Redemption, which is very interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, ever since the change to kind of how Knight's Vow is kicking in, it's like, the jungle item of choice right now with this
yeah, but I mean, like, Locket scales with health. It's very easy to itemize health now. Knight's Vow obviously gives the CDR now, so it's a very appetizing item for supports, especially the tank ones. But I think maybe his mindset, he has the Callista, so he doesn't really need to frontline, right? Like, he's in the same situation as Ali can build a lot of move speed and get away with it, because he can just press R and be tanky anyway. Braum with the Callista can get into the middle of a fight, and if anything happens to him, if he's getting low, he can just be ulted by the Callista. So he has this like pseudo tankiness, so maybe that's why he didn't opt for like a very tanky build.
Let's take another look at this, because this was 2 very high level plays. I mean, the dodge already with the ult coming out of Evie, and then the ability to use the wall and then get away. Evie could have flashed on him there and killed him, but he knew the redemption was coming out. That is trust. That is, as far as trust falls on Summoner's Rift goes, that is near the top of trust falls.
I feel like there was also a moment where Optimus was just like, oh, is this my redemption? Because he started going to the right, and then he realized it wasn't. He's like, oh no, going the other way.
And Dara's now 5-1-1 after picking up that kill for himself. Big carry.
I mean, I do kind of want to see the gold discrepancy, though, between the supports. Because they haven't got different items, but maybe Dara's put more into like control wards or something like that. And at a certain point, even though the gold is even, the fact that carries have it on the side of the Gigabyte Marines and Dara has a lot of it on the side of Rampage is a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is just the same conversation we were talking about before.
Sia's been caught out, grounded, and Smack Tussle gets knocked back by Optimus as well, so a little bit of a scuffle in the river.
If you have like a 5-kill discrepancy between the Callista and the Varus just absolutely monsters, right? Like he has an item up sort of thing, and then he's just going to be punishing in team fights. But with a Lulu literally sitting on the same item as the Braum right now, this
Rampage
is...
just turned around and started again.
Backed off.
They will peel off for the 2nd time. Let's see if 3rd time's the charm.
I like that, though, because if they actually don't respond to that, if they see Lulu walking back towards mid lane, they just assume that recalls have come out of the Cassiopeia and the Rek'Sai. And Cassiopeia does Baron so quickly and can even tank it a little bit because of the new Rod of Ages build, that becomes a legitimate threat.
And I mean, they did go for the risky play there, but they kind of slightly get punished in that Gigabyte Marines can now just pick up the Dragon for free. Obviously, Rampage had a late reset because of that Baron, so they're down in tempo. They use their tempo for that risk, doesn't pay off. Good punish by the Marines. Kennen had the priority in the bot lane. They get themselves an Ocean Drake. Not the most relevant at this stage of the game, but especially for a split pusher like the Kennen, who's currently 2-5, not doing so well. Like, it will be helpful for him in a side lane.
They still have Ramune split pushing top side of the map. He's 0-2 with that fully stacked Rod of Ages, a tier stacking up, and Banshee's already completed. farming up quite well against Optimus. About 40 CS ahead of the Talia.
And every now and again, it is important to talk about, but Cassiopeia has the luxury of having such a good passive because she can't buy boots, that if the game goes very late, and I'm talking, you know, into 6-item territory, she makes the most of it, whereas other champions do not.
Is she the best 6-item champion in the game?
She would have to be because of that fact.
Yeah. But I mean, like, at a certain point, other champions start selling their boots.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn maybe.
And then you're incredibly slow.
Yeah, true.
I mean, if you can pick up triple zeal item on Caitlyn, you're still pretty quick.
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is that split actually becomes quite dangerous for Optimus because Cassiopeia just does so much late game damage. You know, don't get me wrong, the ability for Optimus to be able to, you know, push out a wave and then be able to leave is good, but if Cassiopeia ever gets there first, we'll absolutely blow him up, and there's nothing you can really do about it.
Yeah, in a long lane, if Ramuna ever gets the jump on him, if teams do choose to match each other in the 1v1, sorry, the 1-3-1, yeah, Cassio in a long lane, just if she lands 1 Q, she just like, she can heal for the move speed, she can flash at you, she can just chase you down and you're just dead.
And the same can kind of be... Ooh, here we go.
Big fight in the bottom lane. Both top laners using their ultimates. There's a redemption coming in. This time it is from Dara as well to save Eevee, and that's a one-on-one outplay from Rampage.
Yeah, it certainly is. He also throws the E at him just for the BM move. Yeah. Doesn't do any damage, wasn't it, a wall?
I mean, on the tournament realm, you can't mastery emote because you don't have any points from solo queue. So you got to make do with all the options you got left.
How many competitive games would you have to play to be able to get a mastery emote in there?
Maybe you could, like, on players such as like Double Lift and stuff, they could be reaching rank 4 and 5, but like mastery 7. If anybody ever gets mastery 7 on tourney realm, I am impressed.
Well, Rampage are making another play here to try and take Baron. That's already taken out solo. Optimus trying to kick them inside the pit. Does so successfully. Baron's low. Levi's flashed through quite soon, but doesn't get it. Tussle gets the kill and the Baron. Optimus falls shortly after. No way is trying to escape this one. There's nowhere out from this team fight. Rampage already picking up 3 kills.
And Dara is an absolute monster. Another double kill coming in for the support. No way, still trying to run.
Dara, can he take this one too? Can't even gets the shutdown. 4 kills for Rampage.
And that's actually a clean ace because you've got to remember that Archie was dead bottom lane. Baron picked up. All of a sudden, this game ripped open and Rampage running away with it.
And in my eyes, I think the Marines made the wrong decision there. Obviously, they had the number disadvantage, so the fight is a bit iffy, but that was a great Talia wall to lock Rampage in the pit. But Levi goes for the steal while the rest of his team tries to fight. I think just get a lot of pot shots off with the Talia Q. Talia can get in there, do a bunch of damage whilst they're taking the Baron, and just play for the fight rather than playing for the steal, because at that point, trying to steal that Baron is just a suicide mission.
Yeah, especially with Archie coming up so close behind the back end of that team fight. Levi jumping into the back of it. Not the best of situations.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda, did it. Rampage now 6,000 gold.
On
the
back
better
of
split pusher.
Dara's shoulders with the 7-1-3 Lulu.
I mean, we keep talking about how good AD carries are with kills. 009. That is a
he's just gone back
support.
His name's Bond +2.
He's gone back and bought 3 big ones for himself. Sorry.
I know who 006 was. Was there a 009?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Big James Bond
There was
fan.
007X. I don't know who 009 is.
So 006 was Boris, wasn't it? You guys not a big fan of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond?
I think my dad was. I wasn't.
But you trying to call me old? Was that a sneaky jab?
Not at all. No way.
I've lost all control of this desk.
Shout out to KP.
Back to the game. Rampage setting up topside. And Gigabyte Marines are just looking to get a pick on whoever goes bot, but Rampage have pulled the trigger on topside and sent no one down there because the wave's already pushing in. So
but not only that, there's no TP for Evie. And the wave was built up and pushed all the way to the turret that there's no real reason for him to go bottom lane at this stage. He can walk and creep up mid and collapse much quicker.
So they're already
and this is a very safe play.
But I mean, as a team in Gigabyte Marine's position right now, you're going to give up this inner turret anyway. So Optimus looking for a pick down there isn't a bad play. They lose nothing from it unless Archie gets picked off by the Camille right now.
He might be in some trouble.
I mean, he's not got enough time to recall.
Yeah.
Camille has jumped over.
Nah.
They don't see each other, so Archie stays inside the bush.
Oh,
And
he's
it's actually
TPing.
teleporting for a big flank.
Evie, no TP.
Gigabyte Marines looking for this one. Cleanse used by nowhere to get back into this one. Utori taking so much damage and will get locked down, but with his spy. Here's Archie with big stunts in the back lines. Rampage don't have their top laner, and one by one they fall to the Marines. Double kill for the cannon. Optimus still looking to chase, and they turn around that Baron play.
I mean, the Marines just punish mistakes so well. They see the rotation coming out at Evie. They know that there's no teleport available. They take the team fight, even though they're down massively in gold, and they win it.
And that was so quick. Archie cancels his recall to TP. I'm not sure who got the TP flank ward. I'm going to give the props to Sia, just assuming it was him. I love support players, big fan. That flank ward in the Golem pit, very unlikely to get cleared, so very smart positioning. And then for the cannons, just get in the backline, 4v5, just completely wipe them.
And it is another Infernal Drake coming up in 7 seconds. That is not going to be contestable. And if this game goes any longer, I mean, you've got 4 legitimate carries running around with double Infernal. At a certain point, gold becomes irrelevant. We're not there yet, maybe another 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But that is when the Marines, if they only lose mid lane inhibitor and the map stays the way it is, they reclaim control of this game.
The item discrepancy, actually, let's take a look at that fight again. Big flank coming up from Archie.
Oh, look how much health. I mean, we were already talking about the support items, but he stayed alive for a very long time there, Muyashi. A little bit delay on the Cassiopeia ult. There's nothing you can really do. The fact that they got away with 2 members actually is kind of impressive.
Yeah, honestly, I agree.
So you take a look at the item discrepancies between the 2 teams. Mid laners are quite even, and bottom lane, the difference between Yutori and No Way is Yutori has an affinity edge to a completed Zeal item. So it's very slightly in favor of Rampage, but doesn't look like there's that big of a lead at the moment for the Japanese squad.
No, definitely not. I mean, if you have a look at where it is, there's completed locket on the support. At this stage of the game, that's actually pretty crucial. It just blocks out so much of the damage that comes out.
Especially against an AoE, something like the Graves ulti or the Graves Q, cannon coming in.
Yeah, and they've actually got a front line because of how good Stoneplate is at the moment. Potentially looking for a pick here onto Optimus.
Optimus has to be careful, will get stunned up. Pops just goes straight away there. Sia pops the exhaust down, but the zone is still being created. Optimus fighting his back against the wall, shoves him away. Can he survive? He's trying to run this one out. Low sweep gets him. Dara comes in with the big shield as well. And Rampage are looking for a fight. Heavy is somehow still alive, stuck in this golem pit. Doesn't hook shot out. He fights and stands and delivers. And Rampage take down 3 members of Gigabyte Marines.
And Dara just makes people unkillable if he gets to the fights at this stage of the games. The shields are so big. Evie just lived on a slither of health forever.
And I mean, like, this is the conversation happening again where he has the 7 kills, he has the gold, he has the items to keep people alive in these situations.
This might be the game.
They're looking for a win. Archie has been dove here. He's trying to lock them all down. Dara taking quite a bit of damage. Will Lightning rush to safety. Can't quite get away. Yutori gets a kill. 4 members of the Marines down there pushing for the Nexus.
I mean, No Way is the only one alive, and he might die as well.
He's grounded. He can't hop, skip, or jump. Ace picked up by Ramune in the mid lane. Rampage have done it. They've taken down the favorites at Rift Rivals here, and they will put Japan 1 step closer to making it to day 4.
And how good is this? I mean, Rift Rivals, Oceania, LJL, as well as the GPL, everyone said that the GPL had the first and second best team coming into this tournament. And all of a sudden, this is anyone's race.
Ooh, my goodness. It's rock, paper, scissors between all the top seeds at the moment. It's fantastic to watch. It was a bloodbath this time around between the 2 teams. I couldn't have asked for anything more.
And that puts Rampage to a 1-1 and then Gigabyte Marines in the same situation. Both of them 1-1 right now. Pretty even in the standings.
Direwolves were 1-1. Everyone's just beating everyone as far as the first seeds go.
Absolutely.
I mean, I kind of just want everyone to be tied up at the end of the day, and let's do it all again.
I mean, not quite possible to have everyone tied up anymore. Unfortunately, the GPL team cannot secure their final spot.
We invited you to the party. Every party has that guy that, you know, just drains the life out of it. And, you know, Fish is just here.
I don't understand. It's normally this guy, so I don't know why he's complaining about me.
Not to mention talking about 1-1. Sin's already a 1-0, and they're looking for a 2-0 later in the day. So they get a 100% win rate, and I believe.
Well, that's the final hope for Oceania, actually. Sin and Legacy have to win both their games. If they can do so, it will be tied up 4-2 between LJL and the OPL.
Can you have 2 final hopes? I don't know if you can. I reckon you can only have 1 final hope, Fish.
Yeah, I'm giving it over to Sin. If they win, it's unlucky that Gigabyte Marines lost then.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, when you have a look at this, I mean, it just becomes so intriguing of how it's going to go, because Legacy versus Ascension, which is the next game we're going to see, so let's like not preview it too much, but that is a game where, you know, I had blue side pegged as being stronger, so I was like, they're 50-50, got to give it to Ascension. But now all of a sudden, 2 red side victories on the day's play, just, I mean, makes it such an intriguing game again.
Was Rampage red side?
Oh, no, they were blue side.
They were blue side.
Red
and blue.
You're sitting here, and I'm just like, oh. I don't know, but yeah,
There's
no,
always
so the blue
going to
side
be that
victory,
one guy on the desk.
They do come up with a win, though. But, I mean, like, the game was pretty even, and I don't think it was necessarily like, when you talk about blue side versus red side, like a lot of it comes down to draft sort of thing. And I don't think there was, like, going into that game, I don't think one team had like a clear sort of advantage. Like, you wouldn't go into that game thinking that one team mega won the draft. So the blue side, red side thing, not that relevant there. So I'm giving you like
Yeah, I know you're throwing it to me. You're throwing it to
I've
me.
stolen your bread and I'm giving you back like the
crumbs.
the crumbs.
I don't think he wants those
appreciate it.
crumbs anymore.
I appreciate it.
Well,
Anyway.
we do have a replay that we're going to bring up in your screens very shortly. There's one of the Baron fights that we saw taken by Rampage there, which led to their victory eventually.
Yeah, and I mean, this was a great call. They've knocked down the top laner. They just turn on it. They have so much damage. Bork uses Cassiopeia. Levi goes for the steal while the rest of the team's trying to fight. And I kind of have to agree. I mean, if they just kite this one back, if no one is able to get more spears in, get the Ren set starting to kick over, I mean, there's a potential they win that fight. But instead, with your jungle dead, with your top laner not even there, there's just no hope.
And like time and time again, Optimus on Talia, like you can now see why he blind picked it, right? Because he had, in that 1v1 versus Camille on the bot lane, he somehow managed to like push Camille over and then get himself out of the ulti. And that was such a good wall, coming in, locking in like the entire roster. Into the Baron pit. I think, yeah, if Levi was on the same page as the rest of his team there, I feel like that could have, I don't know if they wouldn't have got the Baron, right? But they definitely would have had a more even fight, and they definitely could have won the fight there for the Marines, but they didn't. Rampage took the Baron and then took the win.
And it's just about the call, right? The call is either we're sending jungler in only, so we've walled it off, we're going to create a little bit of chaos, everyone else run, Levi go in, try and get a steal. Or the call is, Levi, you're team fighting, don't kill, like just don't die.
You can't do both. You can't contest the steal and just like die for free, and then your team's meant to win the team fight, right? Especially in the 4v5 where Archie was already dead from the pick in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and I feel like there was multiple times where we could actually point to the Marines and say there was clear miscommunication. I mean, there was a potential that top lane first gank was going to be matched. Graves could have gone top. He went mid lane. That means that all of a sudden, Archie should not be pushing in on Kennen. He pushes in, dies. Same thing in bottom lane. I mean, they should be trading power. Actually, Graves probably should have pathed bottom. Bottom lane goes aggressive, but their jungler isn't there. All of a sudden, Lulu, because of superior range, picks up a kill. This whole game was like actually very messy and very uncoordinated out of the Marines. And normally what we're saying is they're like a fist, like 5 people like actually doing the exact same thing.
But I mean, how long has this iteration of the roster been together? Because it's different from the one that went to the plans at MSI.
Literally from the end of MSI, they had to swap people out because Stark was going back to university. Slay then stepped down as well, and they brought in 2 new members. But on top of that, having Sia play and Archie top lane, that could have been what has been changing for them here. But that is going to be Rampage picking up the victory against the first seed from the GPL. We're going to go to a quick break and be back with the third match today in just a bit. Bottom lane, Gigabyte Marines are fighting and Sia taking quite a bit of damage. Dara is charging on forward. Winter's Bite does not connect, and first blood is picked up by the Japanese support. And Tussle flashes forward, only gets Sia, and Evie jumps in. Storm being thrown down by Archie as well. Locks down 3 members of Rampage, and Archie gets that first kill. He's going to flash away, but Dara with the Thunderlords again gets a return
comes
kill.
Optimus, and Tussle is cut off from the rest of the team.
Optimus looking to try and knock one back, doesn't get it. Utori flashes away just after Dara. Heal still available for the AD carry. Cass is looking to try and climb in. Tussle goes in, big knock up, and big Ramune ultimate as well as throwing down the poison. Will only take down Sia. The rest of game get out alive. Going to try and lock down Optimus here. Pops the ultimate. He's stuck in this pit. Easy. Solo going to be picked up by Camille. Oh, wow, you might have outplayed him there. Hook shot too short. There's redemption coming in. Optimus gets slayed by Dara. Rampage are making another play here to try and take Baron. That's already taken out Solo. Optimus trying to kick them inside the pit. Does so successfully. Baron's low. Levi's flashed in quite soon, but doesn't get it. Tussle gets the kill and the Baron. Optimus falls shortly after. No way is trying to escape this one. There's nowhere out from this team fight. Rampage already picking up 3 kills.
And Dara is an absolute monster. Another double kill coming in for the support. No way, still trying to run.
Dara, can he take this one too? Can't even gets the shutdown. 4 kills for Rampage. And Gigabyte Marines looking for this one. Cleanse used by nowhere to get back in this one. Utori taking so much damage and will get locked down by Winter's Bite. Here's Archie with big stuns in the back lines. Rampage don't have their top laner, and one by one they fall to the Marines. Double kill for the cannon. There's Sia, pops the exhaust down, but the zone is still being created. Optimus Spider is back against the wall, shoves him away. Can he survive? He's trying to run this one out. Low sweep gets him. Dara comes in with the big shield as well. And Rampage are looking for a fight. Heavy is somehow still alive, stuck in this golden pit. Doesn't hook shot out. He fights and stands and delivers. And Rampage take down 3 members of Gigabyte Marine. 4 members of the Marines down there pushing for the Nexus.
I mean, no way is the only one alive, and he might die as well.
He's grounded. He can't hop, skip, or jump. Ace picked up by Ramune in the mid lane. Rampage have done it. They've taken down the favorites at Rift Rivals here, and they will put Japan one step closer to making it to day 4.